The Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, Austin Mackey in for Derek Brandale, Jake the Snake Schultz. Next 2 hours, including our Leaf Edition hour, where we've got a lot of explaining to do. Maple Leafs go down very quietly in Game 7. And the Panthers advance in the Eastern Conference Final. Do you have any of that aspirin?
I just crushed the bottle, sorry.
All of a sudden, I got a splitting headache.
Yeah.
Sammy?
What?
What do you want?
I came into the office today. Not that there were ever a talkative group, but man, oh man, it was really quiet, really quiet here. And I suppose that it's due to the fact that I'm not sure what we have in store for the next hour to explain how 2 games at home, the last 2 games at home, the Leafs are outscored 12-2. If I would have told you that, that there was a chance that Florida would outscore the Leafs in the last 2 games at home 12-2, you probably would have told me.
I would have believed you. Why wouldn't I believe you?
Well, because it was supposed to be different this year.
Yeah. I will say, Kip, I've said this a couple times, and I know it's laying my reputation on the line when I say it, but I was shocked, truly, wholly shocked that it happened again. Game 5, I was like, once in a while, good teams get beat bad at home. I mentioned Florida did it in the Cup final last year, but they had a chance to redeem themselves under the pressure. To do it again was almost a gift, because we don't have to wonder what if. It was just definitive. They got mopped, and I'm shocked.
And listen, I've been around the game a long time. I can't begin to give you a reason why. Just a reason why. I don't even know where to start.
I know, Kip. I know exactly what you're saying.
Effort? Maybe,
but
maybe not.
But no, they're not going to not try in Game 7.
They don't care? Come on.
No, you care too much?
I don't know. I don't know. The more I'd watch this team, probably the worse I would get at trying to break down why we saw a Game 5 and a Game 7.
Which is maybe the worst case scenario for analysis that you see out there. Is it's a bit of a Rorschach test. I'm not sure how to say that exactly, but people see what they want to see on this and impose whatever they want to impose. The guys have no heart, or maybe they are poorly coached, or maybe they should. Everyone can put whatever they want on this because no one can definitively say you're wrong. It is baffling how good a team they were and can show that they can be, even in just Game 6, to be that in Game 5 and 7.
Yeah.
Samuel, how you doing?
I'm bad.
You're bad.
Quite bad.
You're not good. You're not
good.
good.
I'm not good. I'm not good. I really, last night, you try to, I think I said on Friday that there's 2 outcomes where, they have a miracle comeback in this series, and though that's a good outcome. And if they end up losing the series, it's a good outcome too, because changes are there and all this bull crap I said to myself to try to convince myself that I would be okay with a loss in either of those games. And I'm just not.
Yeah.
I'm just not. And just the whole ecosystem of being a Toronto Maple Leaf fan right now, today, is horrendous.
Yeah.
It is a horrendous world to live in as a Toronto Maple Leaf fan right now. The butt of every joke as usual. The conversations of every other guy on the other team feeling sorry for you. The superstar homegrown guy that everybody hates is going to now leaving, and it shouldn't be like that. It's just the ecosystem that we are living in is a hellscape for Toronto Maple Leaf fans. I'm feeling it. I know all my brothers and sisters who love the Leafs are feeling it. It's an awful day, fellas. I'm sick.
Yeah.
Truly. And I'm not trying to sugarcoat this at all. This isn't a take. This is pure emotion of how I'm feeling. I feel awful. I'm bad. Bad.
And
Sorry.
I think you speak for a lot of people out there, Sammy.
Well, the pain that you endured as a Leaf fan 10 years ago, and to watch this new era come in, Brendan Shanahan came in, there was going to be short-term pain, which everybody bought into so you could build it up. And it started with top picks, top 10 picks.
Yeah.
Willie, Marner,
Matthews,
the
hometown hero returning home.
And that was the start of it. And now here we are today where the band finally breaks up.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And we got lots of time. It ain't just today.
Yeah.
We got lots of time to pick through all that.
For sure. But let's I want to, before we start picking at all of it here, what do you want to say?
Just to your point, like, I think that's what's really hard for me, and I'll speak for Leaf fans to come to grips with, is just how fast this seemingly happened.
Mm-hmm.
That it feels like, honestly, boys, just last year.
This is you being middle-aged, because this is what it's like.
Yeah, I guess.
For having kids. It's like, oh my God, my son's 8?
No, but it's just
like a blink.
2017 feels like last year.
Yeah.
And it was all hope. And it was just looking forward and being like, oh my God, they have Marner, Matthews, Nylander, all young, all in their primes. We're going to have them for all this time. And just, you snap your fingers and nothing has happened. And they're all hated. And it's just, I never dreamt it would be like this.
You said before,
like
all this possible simulations of this universe.
Yes.
This is pretty much the worst.
Okay, let's just break down a little bit Game 7.
Okay.
Because what did we see? What did we not like about Game 7 besides the outcome?
Yeah.
Let's just start with the first 5 or 10 minutes where Florida kind of had their way with them.
Mm-hmm.
And lo and behold, I mean, they were still at zeros.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed that they weathered the storm. That's the catchphrase, obviously, post-game from everybody. And they had a decent back half of a first period where at times they were better than Florida. Like it looked like it was shaping up to be one of these epic second and third periods.
It did. Like you said, they hung in there, and going into the game, I was like, if Joseph Woll is good for them, this is going to be, you're going to end up with a game where it's like the so-and-so game. It's the Marner game, or it's the whatever, where someone has a big moment. It's going to be close. There's going to be something, one moment that this game hangs on. Woll comes out, keeps the minute, makes all these huge saves. All of a sudden, the Leafs find their feet a little bit. Willie almost scores that one, right? The solo effort. And it felt like this was, where at that point, they had worked through the tension and found their game. Woll got them there.
And
they were okay.
A couple of big scoring opportunities, if I'm not mistaken, Lawton, and then Lawrence had a breakaway.
Yeah, had some
breakaway. Do you think there's any world at all where if he scores, there's just a different energy?
Of course, that changes the game. Yes, all of a sudden it's like they have to take some chances. They have to open up. It all starts to work in the Leafs' favor if one of those goes in early.
God loves Stevie Lorentz, but could you just mix in a fake?
And from distance,
just mix
top of circles, mid-net wrister.
Could you just mix in a pump fake?
I think
something.
I think in November he could have.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Too
Game
nervous.
7.
Totally.
So
Didn't
much
want to stick him
on
into the
line.
corner.
You see Bobrovsky, though, out top of the paint,
Give him nothing.
out nothing.
Yeah.
Zero.
I want to say Bob is one of the best in the league in those one-on-one scenarios. He's really good
Flies
at
out.
depth and
Okay, let's get Craig Berube's overview of the Game 7.
We got out of the first period. They came hard the first 10, 11 minutes. We weathered that storm. I thought we started to come, took a penalty, killed it off. So going into the second, it was more of the same like the first. I mean, we just didn't handle the pressure tonight that they came with. We got it, so obviously wasn't good enough.
The Leafs' 75 shot attempts allowed are the most by any team this season through 2 periods, regular season and playoffs. So after those 2 periods, no team, not the Sharks, the Ducks, anyone, had allowed 75 shot attempts as the Leafs did in that game to Florida.
Not to start a useful or useless kind of conversation on that data, but I get the territorial kind of advantage of just being there alone is telling you how much you're dominating. But I didn't get a sense that there was, even in the first period, that they had a lot of top quality in the middle chances.
Yeah. I think that's fair, Kip. I didn't sit there after the first intermission and go, "Oh, they're in trouble."
First
I
period
their
felt
spot.
like an extension of Game 6. It felt like
It did.
it felt like an extension of Game 6.
At times, it felt like an extension of the whole season. That this is the way the Leafs play.
Right.
That
They're okay in these games.
They're okay in these games. We'll block our shots. We'll have a great goaltender behind us. If we don't block the shot, he's going to be there. And we're in a bit of a comfort zone here, the way we want to play this. But that's not a regular team on the other side.
No.
There's a team that just find different ways to beat you. Yeah. And maybe that would have been enough to discourage any other team, but not the Florida Panthers.
Yeah.
I think to your point about playing it like the regular season, there's also the second the first goal goes in, they immediately stop playing. Like they immediately look like they always do in that scenario where it gets tight. Their feet stop moving. Looks like there's a fear. Looks like nobody wants to make the next big mistake, which leads to them making the big mistakes. Like that first goal. Like how many times I text you guys in the group chat? First goal. And Seth Jones snaps that one off under the bar.
What a shot!
Great shot.
My God.
And it's just like you could feel it immediately.
Immediately. I got the sense, Sammy, that like, okay, does anybody want the puck?
Yeah.
No one wants it.
Nobody wants it on their
right.
stick.
100%.
Nobody was confident to say it's
What
mine.
A bad pinch by Riley.
there?
Right?
I would love, Kip. I wish I had the clips of Riley at times kind of hesitant, reaching for pucks rather than moving his feet and getting into it. I totally agree that there is a lack of like, that's mine, I want that. So, it's unrelated to the outcome, I'm sure, but there's some irony in all Leafs fans being upset about a missed high stick and was it 93? And then the ref takes a high stick this year and that changes the game. Like right after that stoppage was when Florida regrouped and put the boots.
It slowed everything right down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Building was electric. They'd come off the good end of that period, and that was really scary. I might add.
Yeah, I don't know.
We got an update on that,
there.
but that was horrible. But it really did feel like it changed the momentum, and then they took advantage. They did.
Yeah, and that's, I don't know if you need a couple more saves or what there, but if you go through the lineup and say, who'd you like? Who did you like? And I think, I liked, compared to what I expect from them, I liked Chris Tanev and I liked Scott Lawton. I don't have any other answers.
Yeah.
And it's just nowhere near enough.
Nowhere near.
Right?
Nowhere near.
Not even close to enough.
Not even close to enough. All right, let's get Craig Berube's thoughts about the disappointment of the series.
Craig, from where you sit, what was the most disappointing part of this series?
Games 5 and Game 7 at home. I thought we did a great job fighting for home ice. Had a good home record all year. To me, that's the most disappointing part in the series.
For sure. There's poor fans, man. I mean, it's crazy, though, that after they lost Game 5 the way they did, that all the fans that I talked to, and we talked about it on the show the next day, saw them winning Game 6, going home and losing. People saw this outcome. This was not I cannot believe that happened.
So games 4 through 7, I think I have it here. Games 4 through 7 since 2018 at home. They're 3-13. They've been outscored 55-29, and then 8 of those 16 games they scored one goal or less.
It's crazy.
What? There's no other explanation other than
Can't handle the pressure.
Fear and pressure. What you can't sit me down, and you can try to lay out every other scenario for what that possibly is, but they just can't handle it. There's no other way to look at it, is there?
Well, let's ask Craig Berube. Is it between the ears?
Well, I look at, I don't think the moment's too big for him. I think it's, we went into Ottawa and won Game 6 and won a series. We went into Florida and won Game 6 to make it a Game 7. So the moment's not too big. For me, it's all between the ears. It's a mindset. These guys are capable of doing it. You just got to execute it, and we didn't execute it. We didn't execute it in Game 5. We didn't execute it in Game 7. I don't have an answer for that. Why? But that's the bottom line. Thanks.
Yeah,
Just
I
gets
couldn't disagree more.
Okay.
Yeah. He just hasn't been around long enough to watch in the past.
I love it. Totally. I mean,
It's just
We've
it's a
said that
good
on the
comment.
show. He hasn't seen it the way we've seen it.
I get it. He wants to protect his guys. I get that. No problem. No issues there whatsoever. But you can't compare a big moment against an Ottawa Senators team and a big moment against Boston, Florida, and Tampa Bay the last 5 or 6 years.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, but like Ottawa was never a contending team.
Right.
Yep.
They were a team that was scratching the surface, needed to get into the playoffs just to experience it, and that's it.
mhm.
And the truth be told, I'm not sure necessarily if the Leafs outright won the Atlantic Division or the Florida Panthers just kind of gave it to them at the end of the season.
Well, if they just said it's not
Right.
worth laying ourselves
It's
on the
not
line,
worth
lay it on
it.
the line
They
for it.
they sat half
They
their
s-
team for multiple
Half
games.
of it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yes. And they knew what they were doing because Matthew Tkachuk had no problems telling people close to him that we don't care. We don't care if we win the division or not. We don't care about home ice advantage or not. We can win anywhere at any time.
Mhm.
We have the confidence. We don't care who we play. We don't. And they played like that.
Yeah, he stunk, by the way.
They-
But anyway.
Listen, he didn't
Yeah.
he didn't need to.
I don't mean to
they-
undermine your point.
yeah.
Your point is correct.
And the truth be told, they were very fortunate to win the division and get Ottawa.
Mhm.
But if by chance they didn't, and they played Florida in the first round, we'd be talking about a first round knockout.
Mhm. And a lot of the teams you mentioned that they have played in the first round that have knocked them out, you talked about contenders, have gone to the Cup final. Like Tampa Bay, Boston, Florida. Like these teams that they're losing to are good teams. But that's what you're talking about is when you go up against the good ones, and you will in playoffs, that's when they're big games.
That's
That's
they're
when
big
you're
games.
finding out if you can hang against the Cup contending
Yeah.
teams. And boy, it's a definitive no. And because of that, we're going to have, a week and summers long discussions about what changes and what it looks like to become that. Not to just assign blame, but find solutions and suggestions and figure this thing out.
What needs to change, boys?
It's not
Easy,
a short list.
but like if there's one
Yeah.
element, if
Yeah.
you could boil, what is it?
Yeah, go find some guys that know how to win.
Okay.
Not enough. Not nearly enough. And Matthews, Marner, Tavares, and Willie and Morgan, like they're good hockey players,
Mhm.
but they just don't know how to win this time of year.
See, even in that game, Tanev talking to McCabe or whatever is like, go forward. Let's go. Let's get up the ice. You can see him trying to like coax guys. Come on.
Yeah.
And you do see
Yeah.
that frustration from guys who,
And fire in their belly a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's go to Craig Berube on which team had it last night. Clip 3.
I think this team has fire. I mean, like I said, I can't explain right now, or do I want to? 5-7 at home. That's it's obviously things that we got to look at and talk about as a organization.
There you go. He thinks they have fire. Like I'm sure he sees,
Tell me, Sammy.
but no, like I'm sure he
Who's he
sees.
talking about?
I mean, what? We got to look at his organization.
No. Fire.
Well, I think he's lying. I think he's probably protecting. I think he's probably, but like,
Who's the closest to having a spark?
I have no idea.
like Domi, Lawton,
I guess. Sure.
Tanev, McCabe,
Yeah.
Benoit.
Yeah.
There's not a ton of guys. It's-
The guys on the
the
periphery.
guys on the periphery.
Which, go ahead.
Yeah, I look at the way people talk for years about the way the Leafs salary cap is constructed. But you look at Lundell at $5 million and Lusterainen's in the 2s or 3s. They had Marchand kind of in that window, and you look at the guys in the 2s or 3s for the Leafs. David Kampf doesn't play in the playoffs. Calle Yarncroc, I called him an NPC, like a non-player character. He's just kind of the computer out there doing his thing. Domi's making 3.75. I know he had one big goal.
Scored a big one last night.
Yeah.
Got the building really excited
I know.
for 30 seconds.
Domi's a little different from them because he's got a little of that spark. But the guys in that window are not Lundell and Luosterainen and Marchand. That's where the team is fundamentally different. Obviously, I didn't think Barkov killed him. I didn't think Kachuk killed him.
No, but Barkov does kill you. It's by 1,000 cuts, but he gets you. And he's never in the wrong place at the wrong time. And he can settle that team 200 feet. And he's so good that he doesn't even think that he has to go out there and score a goal. He can just find ways to beat you, just being in the right place at the right time, either making a quick pass or moving the puck and getting everybody in place. I cannot tell you how impressed I am with this guy.
Listen, he's an unbelievable player. I think when we're talking about him, you end up talking about Matthews. And I think Matthews is a lot of those things. He's a lot of the things that aren't goals and a lot of the things you want to see. He just doesn't score the goals. He doesn't have the moments, but he does a lot of hockey things, face-offs, D-zone play, all that sort of stuff. That's great, but you're looking for more. Matthews has fallen short of expectations and is a part of the group that can't muster it in the big games.
He's the leader of it.
Yeah. Big disappointment for sure.
God, yeah.
34.
But I think to your point about bringing in guys that know how to win and know are fiery or whatever, the Barkov-Matthews comparison is a very apt one where they have a bunch of hyenas and mutants around Barkov, but he's a quieter guy, doesn't take any penalties, good defensive zone.
Put them on their teams.
Yeah.
Is it that different?
That's right. It's just you have to surround him with guys that are going to pull him into the fight as opposed to surrounded with other guys who have the exact same sort of mentality as him.
Which in itself is a criticism of Matthews.
Totally.
But
your first clip, right, has maybe upset a few people.
Yeah, I'd say.
It belongs to Austin Matthews, and it's his comment about passengers. Let's have a listen.
I felt like we were ready to play. I felt like we were, in a good mindset. Like I said, I thought the first 10 minutes we didn't. They came out strong, and the next 10 minutes I thought we controlled play. And then I just thought we had too many passengers throughout the rest of the game and just weren't on the same page. And they get a couple goals and momentum like that, and then you're chasing the game, and it's hard to get it back. When you're down 3 against a good team that plays sound defensively like them.
So who's he talking about? What passengers?
I said to Sammy, he's not wrong. I just said there's no drivers. Yeah. Too many, sure, but it obviously includes him. You have 18 skating passengers and no driver. So, yes, it's too many, but when you're not a driver, tough to make the comment.
You're waiting at the bus stop for the guy to come out of the washroom.
Listen, the only thing out of his mouth should have said, I'm the driver of this thing, and I didn't show up.
Yeah.
Okay? You can't have passengers on a bus without a driver.
Yeah. I don't even know that these
Why
guys
would you go
know.
there? Why would he go there?
Because I think he's just looking for crutch cliches to not say anything.
The thing that hurt me the most about that clip is the pause, right? Where he's like, am I going to say this? Am I going to say this? And then he's like, yeah. And then he says the P word, which it's talking about other teammates. I mean, you look at his bottom 6 or whatever, and they haven't scored any. It's just something you don't say to me. It's just, it's a bad. And listen, what has been one of the biggest complaints about this era is the way that they've addressed these finishes, the way that they've taken no accountability, that the way they've the entire organization has had this sense of arrogance.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just the exact same, except for poor old John Tavares. I don't know if you saw John Tavares' postgame last night. Boys, I didn't even cut it because he thought Brady Tkachuk was sad. Oh my God, he was almost crying. It was horrible. But the Matthews, Marner, neither of them have ever really been it's my fault.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't tell you how far that would go. And even if it's not their fault.
You think PR
It's not all
would
their-
tell them that?
It's not all their fault.
But you're supposed to wear it as the
Just
faces.
wear it.
They won't.
Do it. That's all. Just do it.
Do it.
Do it. Please. Tomorrow morning, they're addressing the media, Berube and select players. Tomorrow at 10:30 a.m., they're doing it. You cannot, I'm telling you, you cannot come out and say the same old crap. You can't say the same
It'll
old crap.
probably feel good to say it.
I'm pleading. If anybody from Leafs PR,
Will he say it and mean it?
I don't
or
care
is
if he
it
means
because
it.
is it
I don't
because
care if
you're
he means it.
told?
I don't
You
care
need
if
a
he means
PR guy to come up to you and say, "Hey, buddy, fake sincerity."
yeah. If that's what it takes, fake it, baby. Lie. This fan base
won't do me any good. I can tell you that.
But Kyper, you're smart and you know these things. Like you're a savvy veteran broadcaster who can read these kind of things. Me, Dumbo, like me and my fellow fans, we need some accountability here, buddy.
Yeah. Even if
Maybe
it's a
they're
lie, they
just-
haven't got there yet.
So
Maybe he's just not the guy that everybody envisioned, Austin. Maybe he's just a really good goal scorer, but the rest of it, maybe not. Like I'm watching this last night, and see, for me, Austin Matthews is Malkin in Pittsburgh. Very talented, can show that he can play the game as well as anybody. Has the talent to be the best player on the ice. But Malkin's nothing if there's no 87. Matthews needs a Crosby. He needs something. He can't do it being the number one guy.
I mean, it'd be pretty hard to sit here and disagree.
Can't.
Yeah, see, I think it's dismissive of his game. I think he's much better than you give him credit for. You and I we've
What's
always
better?
been
Tell
that.
me what's better.
Well, Kip, he does
he's
everything.
Talent.
He does
You're
everything.
giving me talent.
I'm not. You're saying talent. I haven't said it once.
But you can't lead. He's not a leader.
Well, I don't
He's
know,
not a
even know
leader.
what that means. He's not a fiery guy. He doesn't punch people in the face. He's not that.
Malkin is.
He's Barkov to me. He's Barkov.
No, he's not Barkov.
And you surround Kachuk, Matthews with Kachuk instead of Marner, and give him Bennett instead of Nylander, and give him Verhaeghe instead of Tavares. And I think you swap these guys, and they're the same success. To me, it's not. I'm not saying he's a perfect player, but I'm saying it's dismissive of him to be like.
I'm not
he can't
sure.
be a
I'm
guy,
not
the
sure.
guy.
He's got what it takes to be the leader.
He's earned those questions, and as of today, you're right. I 100%. He hasn't proven anything but that. You're right.
I can't.
Yeah.
It'd be really hard for me and Bourne, Kyper, to sit here and be like, yeah, he can get it
No,
done.
I
Yeah.
know. I
He
know.
can't.
I
He
know.
can't.
I
Right,
know.
he can't.
You know what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My take on Austin Matthews is he always comes through. Like, it'd be a really hard
It'd be
argument
an
to make.
insane
Yeah.
thought.
So,
So
like,
what do you need? Do you need to go sign Marchand now in the offseason?
I don't think that's the answer. No.
I'd kill for that, but they won't do it.
I'd love to get a lot of these guys who are available for 3 years. Love a 3-year Bennett deal. Love a 3-year Marchand deal.
Mhm.
You know?
Bennett's
Sign it for
could sign $90 million.
Yeah.
He's not taking a 3-year deal.
Of course he's not.
Right?
Absolutely.
So,
Or should he?
So there's two more conversations, big ones that I want to have. I mean, I think the Marner one and the fan conversation are two ones that I really want to get into in terms of what Maurice and Marchand had to say after the game. But I think we should probably talk about Marner here and what this means for him. We'll have a long week of talking about this, but we might as well fire it up.
You want to start with his comments after the game?
Yeah, I do.
All right.
Clip
Loved
one.
everything. Took maybe a risky pick on a small kid from Toronto, and I've been forever grateful to be able to wear this Maple Leaf and be a part of some of the great legends here, and be able to wear this jersey. So I've never taken a day for granted, and always loved it.
Yeah, it sounded like a goodbye to me.
Oh, yeah.
See ya.
Yeah, no question.
I think it's merciful at this point for everyone, right? Better for him, better for the Leafs. Like it's
Not
just
better for the Leafs.
well, they're
No.
not going to get better in the regular season.
Not better for the Leafs. The Leafs are just watching an asset, 100-point, legit 100-point guy, their most valuable player, their best player from beginning defensively right to the net. Okay. One of the best
he
players.
was useless.
And yeah, for sure. For sure. They all were useless at the end yet again. But you're going to have a tough time replacing that.
Oh, for God's
Okay.
sake, of course.
Yeah,
It's not, there's those, he doesn't exist. There's not another one of him to go get.
I mean, I'd be really hard to sit here, Kyper, and look at you again and tell you that the Leafs are going to be better without Mitch Marner. But
Yeah.
the thing is, they're going to be different. They're going to be
The
different.
hope is
and
that
sometimes
in those games, they talked, Marchand and Maurice talked about, or Chuck and Maurice talked about in preseason, talking about preparing for Game 7, building for Game 7. And that's the Leafs' next step is how do you be better in Game 7 in these series?
When Marner leaves, before you get to that, get to how do we make sure we make the playoffs again next year?
that is a real question.
Okay.
I know.
That's not your first question on how to beat Florida this time next year. It's do we get back into the playoffs next year?
Mm-hmm.
That's for me reality. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the team looks like, and even Tavares. So you take a 100-point guy, he's gone.
Yeah.
We're not sure what you want to do with Tavares.
Who scored,
At
about 35 this year?
35, 37, and do you bring him back on the sole reason why he can just help us make the playoffs again? Well, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Now you put Bennett and Barkov again up against Matthews and Tavares again next year and watch Lindell be the difference maker and bury you again?
Well-
Or do you give the job to a younger guy who you can groom for the next 2, 3, 4 years and hope you can contend again?
I think it's hard because of sentiment, because I said this, I wrote this in my article today. If you have like 4 ingredients and it keeps baking you a failed cake, it doesn't matter if the ingredients are on sale or at a discount. The ingredients don't work. So I have a lot of respect for John Tavares. He came home, he works his tail off, good, honest man, scored ton of respect. The cake doesn't work. It doesn't. And I know he wants to be here, and I know people want that story to reach this happy ending. The cake keeps falling flat. So,
But the cake can also help you. You got a better chance of maybe eating the cake in April or May than just having it stale at the end of 82 games.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
So,
that
okay, go ahead.
we just can't build a team being like, we're just trying to make playoffs. Like, no one here wants that anymore.
Wow.
Hey,
MLS does.
if you knew how much money they made per playoff game
They do.
and what the alternative is if you miss the playoffs, you'll take a bad cake in May.
So they'll take a $3 million John Tavares.
I don't know what the answer is that, but you're going to have to see what Mitch Marner leaves you with and what's available to come back before you can even go down the path of a John Tavares. And if John wants to wait, he can wait. And if he wants to go and play in Buffalo or anywhere else, then I'm sure you're going to have a greater chance to make a lot more money July 1st from another team than you would the Toronto Maple Leafs.
So the Marner conversation, I've mentioned this last week, but it just, as much as a critic I've been of Mitch Marner and as hard on him as I've been, and it just, the way this is played out really sucks.
Yeah.
There's no way around it. There's no way around it. And he's trying to yell at his teammates and trying to fire them up. I don't know. It's depressing, boys. I wish
that are not going over great is that moment along with the passengers and Matthews.
Yeah. I think that's a guy that was realizing that his time with the team that he was drafted and developed was over, and he's yelling at his teammates. Listen, last year, Willie screamed at him and everybody loved it. I'm not going to.
Willie, it was Mitch, when he was on the bench and he threw his gloves down, that wasn't about Mitch. That was about Willie and Austin going at each other.
Whatever it was.
It was.
Don't care at all.
No,
whatever.
That doesn't matter.
I'd rather them, in all honesty, I'd rather somebody scream at somebody than just sit there and do nothing.
I agree.
Okay?
Well, you better not be talking about that Marner clip because all year you've been telling us that you can't yell at your guys if you're playing like nothing.
But the game was over. His career as a Leaf is over there. He can do whatever he wants.
Okay.
He's going out his way.
What's his name? Berube is trying to fire them up. It was just a pretty frustrating situation for everybody.
It was over. It's just
so you don't see
done.
any scenarios where he resigns here?
Zero.
Yeah.
Zero. And I don't know. Did Drager put out something that he was offered $13.5 million times 8 by the Leafs?
Yep. I think I saw that.
Okay. Just imagine for a second he had signed that, and where would the fan base be on him today? And I told you guys that.
Mm-hmm.
He can't win.
Not here.
Not here.
Not here.
It's over.
Yeah.
It's over.
Okay? If he signed a $108 million contract and they lost the way they lost last night, come on.
You would
Come
be
on.
justifiably, absolutely obliterated.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, not leave the house.
Yeah.
Give him a chance to go out and
But he just had a kid. Go
Right.
get away from all this and all the people around you and all the noise and just
and go try to win a cup.
for sure.
Go try to win a cup somewhere else.
Absolutely.
But I mean, like, I got to tell you, Kyper, over the years, I've kind of felt like this regret take that, like, the second he leaves, I'm going to regret it. And it's going to. I watch a game in the playoffs with the Leafs for 9 years. If he goes somewhere else and figures it out in the playoffs,
Okay.
I will be capital S stunned because it just has never looked good.
I won't be stunned,
I
but
won't.
I
But
will
he's-
say
He's going to pull a Kadri and win a cup somewhere else.
for sure. I think that probably
That'd be
happens.
the Leafiest outcome for sure.
I do think that it happens, but I don't think the Leafs will look at that and Leafs fans will look at that and go, they were fools for letting him go. They'll go, why couldn't he have done it when he was here?
Because they couldn't figure it out up top. That's why.
No,
He's
but-
up top.
But he.
No.
He's
The
supposed to be. He's the
decision
engine.
makers couldn't figure it out.
So he can't.
They were 4 guys that you put $50 million into a payroll, and none of them could play playoff hockey.
But does he
None
not?
of them.
Was there no blame at all for him here, Kip?
1/4
Okay.
of the blame. Okay? At the end of the day, out of the 4 that he was the least highest paid, he was 4th on the payroll. Okay?
Well, this year, but not the previous 8.
We haven't
Yeah.
even mentioned Willie. Okay? Willie was a
But we're not
dog the last 4 games.
We're not talking
No
about Willie,
show.
Kipper. This is what it's always is.
Why are you
it's always,
talking
what
about Willie?
that guy? Because
Why?
because whenever we want to talk about Mitch, it becomes, yeah, but look at them. It's like a political, like, whataboutism thing. It's like, we're
They
not.
don't work together.
I agree.
Totally
the
agree with
4
that.
My point is, the 4 guys never work together. Everybody, Mitchie's like a brother to me. Oh, really?
Show it on the
Yeah.
ice.
Yeah, that's what you do to your brother on the ice. That's the way you guys stick together. Okay, it never worked. Okay, and they couldn't realize it up top that they don't have the personalities, they don't have the character to all work together towards a Stanley Cup. They all went their separate ways. Give me my contract. Give me my no moves. Give me my commercials. Give me this. Give me that. Okay? It was as if they were one-upping each other for 10 years. And you couldn't figure out the whole time that they're not coming together. They're all just do your own thing. Ask for your own contracts and make sure you're looked after. And then they get the results of that, and we're going to blame one individual or 2 individuals. No, I'm sorry. It goes upstairs. Bad decision to put these 4 guys together and expect them to lead you to a Stanley Cup.
Here's what I wrote in my article today. I said, ultimately, the core 4 era was fun, but fell flat. They got great players who are young, immature, and prideful, who instead of seeing one another as mutual load-bearing pillars, building some great cathedral of success, fought to be the steeple, visible and above the whole. They all wanted to be the one. They all wanted to be the one that said, this is my team. I'm the star. They wanted to be the name that comes before the band name sort of thing.
And now
Rather
we're
than
now we're
seeing
gonna
each other as a
blame one
group.
guy. We're just going to blame one guy
No,
or
but
2
he's
guys.
getting his blame. He's getting his piece of the pie. He's eating it right
Okay,
now.
when
Just
do
like
we get
Matt-
to Willie? When do we get to John Tavares? When do we get to
Willie's
right?
under contract in here. Marner's leaving. That's why we're talking about him.
yeah.
Willie also led the team in points and had big moments in the playoffs.
Where were they the last 4 games?
the same place as Mitch, who we're talking about right now.
Mm.
I mean, we'll get there.
They were
We will get
just
there.
the wrong guys to ask to do this.
And
In the end, you're right.
That's it.
And the heartbreaking thing is that the Dubas firing, when he got fired, when that all happened, was the window to recoup on Mitch.
Totally.
And they brought in a fresh set of eyes, which turned
Big
out to be
time.
the worst possible thing, where Treliving comes in and he's got a week to figure out one of the biggest moves in the history of the franchise, and he's still trying to figure out if his key cards work. And Mitch Marner's no trade thing kicks in, and then the rest is history.
It would have taken big cojones to make the call at that time, and they didn't show him.
And he came in and he was fooled just like everybody else, being like, oh, look at these 4 guys. Why would I trade? These guys are great. Why would I trade any of them? And then it just didn't work. So
Yeah, they
Oh
got
my
boxed
God.
in.
it's 4-4.
They got boxed in. Okay, let's take a quick break. We got another.
Oh my God.
We got another segment to go on.
We only,
this.
we only have 5 more shows to go, boys.
Only 5 more to
more
go.
Leafs hours.
All right. More on the Toronto Maple Leafs when we return to the Leaf Hour edition of the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. Welcome back to the program. The Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, Leaf Hour edition. Never broken later in our 4-year history in the last
40-minute
block.
Chunk.
How we doing, boys?
We're doing good.
Home.
Breathe.
Home.
Okay. It got so bad last night that your opposition felt sorry for you.
I hated this.
This is the darkest part of this. Brad Marchand, can you please play Austin clip 2 on the Leaf fan pressure?
Yeah, I think it's easy to have to go into games and have different mindsets. I don't know what their mindset was. I can't speak to that, but I know that our mindset, you know, we have a ton of belief in the system that we play and the depth of our group and the experience in these moments. You know, going through before, obviously you talk about it, but it's invaluable experience when you go through moments like this and you've been through these moments before and a lot of guys in the team have won cups, and when you win a cup and you play in some of the games that this team played in last year, like these are not high pressure games. You know, when you're playing for an actual cup and you give up a 3-game lead and then you're in game 7, like that's a high pressure game, right? So, you know, in game 7, second round, yeah, it's a high pressure game, but it's not compared to some other games that guys have played. So when you actually look at that, and then when you see the pressure that Toronto faces and you know, everyone's talking about whatever the 20, 30-year build-up, I don't even know what it is, but you see the fans and the way they're talked, like they just beat the pressure into this team. And it's got to be tough on those guys to walk to the rink every day and not feel that, because I mean, you see the way the fans treat them at the end, like how do you not feel that every single day? You know, and when you go through big games, like you realize which are actually big games and which are just, you know, big moments.
You want to comment on that?
Woof.
Or do you want to go to Maurice? And
Maurice
then
is,
we'll...
long, Maurice is long too.
That's fine.
Okay, let's forget Maurice.
No, it's good, unfortunately.
Okay,
Let's
then we'll
play
cut it off halfway.
Clip 4, please.
What's great for the league is hard for the Toronto Maple Leafs and their players, right? The passion for the Toronto Maple Leafs, the scrutiny that these men are under is why everybody else gets paid so much. It's a driver, but there's a cost to it, and for them, there's a challenge. Yeah, you can hit one out of the park here, and then you're never buying lunch for the rest of your life, right? Like, but there's a cost for these guys, for their families. When you lose a game like this, it's going to be rough on them.
Right.
And they're going to go through a whole bunch of things that aren't wrong, but
You'd
they're
cut
wrong
it
as
off,
they
please.
are.
I'm sick of it.
Okay.
That was the worst thing I've ever done in my life, was cutting his availability. We played half of one clip. Really glad I did that.
You're a strong man.
I think this has been a really popular conversation today with people blaming the fans. And listen, is there pressure? Of course. If you want to blame the people, like, I would argue that we're too loyal.
Mm-hmm.
I would argue the opposite, that these people still show up.
Mm-hmm.
We're showing these people how much do they, like, I mean, how much are they paying to go to these games? I mean, what would a lower bowl of ticket cost last night, Kip?
Upper bowl, I think the cost is around $1,200.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
For one ticket.
For a pair.
For a pair.
So I don't know, 650, 700, so around there.
So people, they just want to blame the fans for the pressure and when you could really see that the fans are actually not loyal and actually not going to care is if they stop going. If they stop paying $1,200 to go to a Game 7, when they actually go there and believe in these guys. And they actually go there and think, this is the game where they won't disappoint me cripplingly. This is the one that they'll push through and not choke like they always do. For me, we're a little bit too loyal. I know that's probably nails on a chalkboard to people, but there's pressure. And I see Matthew Tkachuk on Spit and Chicklets being like, oh yeah, they put too much pressure. This guy played in Calgary, got shoved in a locker by Connor McDavid in the second round of the playoffs and bolted immediately to the least pressure place on earth so that he didn't have to deal with any of this. He's like, oh yeah, is that the one place you played with any pressure you ran away from?
JB, what did you like about Marchand?
I think it's patronizing and almost intentional.
It is.
Almost to be like...
To make me feel like this.
and also be like, yeah, don't change anything there. This is not the player's fault. Keep everything going. You guys have it figured out.
I just think it's kind of like, it's not your era where your dad and 4 of his buddies on the Islanders barely could talk to Edmonton in a Canada room.
Yeah.
This is much different. They're closer. They know each other. I think Marchand feels for Mitch Marner.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's empathy there on what he's going through, what many of them probably are going through. The other thing, too, is Paul Maurice and Marchand also know that our league is better with a healthy Toronto Maple Leafs. We need their fans to keep paying these prices because we're a better league
he says that
with the Leafs than without them, for sure.
Yeah, Maurice says it explicitly.
It's that simple. They're so bad that we have to come to their defense.
Right, which is way worse.
And I will tell you that the majority of the fans are good fans. There's just some bad apples out there, guys.
Well, can I say that? So 2006 missed the playoffs. 2007 missed the playoffs. 2008 missed the playoffs. 2009 missed the playoffs. 2010 missed the playoffs. 2011 missed the playoffs.
Hold on.
2012 missed the playoffs.
We know this.
Lost in round 1 in 2013. Missed playoffs. Round one. Qualifying round. 3-1 series lead blown.
We can read. We know.
Wow, why would the fans be upset about this?
It's okay to be upset.
And they still pay Kyper.
You know what's not okay?
Being mean to Mitch? Is that what it is? God.
Putting his address on the internet.
Who did that?
And then telling people that if you have any issues, go tell them how you feel. That is offside.
That's illegal.
And that is wrong. And that crap happens to these players in this market.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Right? And I'm telling you right now, these players talk. The extra players that went down to the dressing room with about 5 minutes to go in the game last night, 3 or 4 of them got berated in the hallway and in the elevator. They got hammered, absolutely hammered. You know what happens? They go around, they talk to their buddies, and they tell them how bad it is and how tough it is. And if they're not careful, this team's not careful, no one's going to want to play here. That's how bad it can get.
I'm sure it's not bad in New York with the Yankees or in Liverpool with just won the Champions League. It's not. I'm sure it's not bad in those places
saying,
either.
Sammy.
I think it takes a certain type of player with the, fortitude to handle the risk reward of being here.
All right. Leafs out of the playoffs, and we've solved nothing in the last hour. We go national, though. Who do we have on board, Sammy?
Books.
Jason Bukala. More answers nationally when we return to Real Kyper and Bourne. Welcome into the National Hour on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. We are live on Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver and Sportsnet 960 in Calgary. This hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, as we wrapped up our Leaf Hour edition of our program. I'm sure
uplifting stuff.
Our yelliest hour yet.
For those of you that aren't Leaf fans out west, no need to download it.
Well, I would disagree. I think today, the annual day that the Leafs get put out
Shot and fruit hour.
is arguably the most exciting day of the year for everybody that isn't a Leaf fan. The feeling I get whenever I'm on any social media or talk to anybody who's not a Leaf fan, people hate the Leafs more than they like their own team. Like, people would rather see, like, anybody but the Leafs.
Wow.
And it's like, I've been hearing it so much from Ottawa fans recently. Like, Ottawa fans, like, on my ex being like, like, you lost to these losers.
But
You lost
Right?
to them. Like,
It's-
you're gonna take a victory lap when give me a break.
Which richest organization in any sport isn't the most hated?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yankees, Cowboys,
Yeah.
Come on.
Lakers.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
right?
Celtics.
Yeah, maybe.
They're six
People kind of
bill-
like this.
Maybe.
They just got bet for $6 billion. So it feels like they got to be the richest. That's a
So-
good point, Kyper.
It's
richest.
just natural. It's just natural. It's just there's always a little bit more arrogance coming out of the team that can generate the most money, even if they don't win.
Yeah.
That bothers other markets.
Yeah, but I do think there's a lot of people listening to this in our Calgary market and our Vancouver market. If you're in Edmonton today, that, like, listen, I'm sure I went on with Jason and Mike in the morning out in
Did you
Vancouver.
today?
Not today,
Oh.
but like after they lost Game 5, they love this.
Gleeful.
This is like I was like, that's a good day in Vancouver, right, boys? They're like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
Like, this is
I was
everyone's
texting with
Super
Ruff
Bowl.
last night. He
So-
loves it.
Congratulations, Canada.
In
You
a
did
couple
it.
of minutes, we'll welcome in Jason Bukala, Pro Hockey Group, and of course, Sportsnet, former NHL scouting director, including the Florida Panthers, who are advanced to the conference final yet again.
Mm-hmm. He has a pretty good sense for who's going to be a good player. Did some good drafting there for the Panthers. How about the ratings juggernaut that is Dallas, Edmonton, Carolina, Florida for the NHL? I mean, can you do worse? I'm interested. Great teams. I'm wrapped, fully in. But
But-
if you're a U.S.-based team,
Tough draw.
ESPN, you're like, Cup final, Edmonton, Carolina. It's like, oh,
Dallas is a big market.
Dallas is your best bet.
TV market for the U.S.
Dallas is your best bet, for sure.
Bad
And-
laundry. Bad laundry.
I like the
No, it's just there's no, I don't know.
Yeah.
If you put all these rosters on teams with more history, they would be such a more exciting thing. Like, I think there's some really good teams left, but it's like Florida and Carolina is that set.
You're
No.
probably right.
No one wants to hear this from me.
Before we go anywhere, and as we wait for Jason Bukala, we need some Jets talk right now, because as I'm watching Dallas win in overtime against the Winnipeg Jets, I couldn't help but think that 15 or 20 years from now, outside of maybe the Dallas market, no one's going to remember who won that game, but everybody's going to remember that Mark Scheifele played that night with a broken heart. And to me, that will stand the test of time far, far beyond the game's outcome.
It is hard to watch that game and feel like there's a just and loving God. That was an atrocious ending. Like, just his head sinking as they score in overtime was literal, like, waterworks, like tears.
I have to tell you, my classic move after any Leaf playoff loss is immediate TV off.
Yeah.
When that goal hit the back of the net, I was like,
I
oh my
don't-
God,
I don't need
can't
to see
I can't
anything else
believe
here.
That
That was
just happened.
Awful.
And to be fair, he does get the amazing moment of scoring earlier in the game. I'm sure he won't really look back on that with, he has that moment, the smile on his face. It was an incredible moment, but for him to even play, it's heartbreaking stuff. Heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's I've got a couple close family and friends that are Jets fans, and this one really hurt. Everything kind of went wrong that could go wrong. Morrissey is out in that game, halfway through the game, something like that. So they're missing him in the big moments. That hurt. Scheifele has this happen, for the big game. Hellebuck struggles on the road.
So when I was, quick story here, maybe not so quick. When I was 19 years old, I'm playing in North Bay, and my parents come up to tell me that a cousin I'm really close to, family cousin, was killed in a car accident at age, 24, 25. and it was devastating to our family. I leave North Bay. I go down with my family for a few days, and the funeral, and then just as I'm leaving to go back up to North Bay, my uncle, the father, calls me over and he goes, "You got to score 2 goals tonight in Belleville for George." And that's all I was left with. I played that night in Belleville. I scored the first goal, and it was late in the third, and I needed to get this goal.
Mm-hmm.
And I did score it.
You did.
And I started bawling on the ice. Like, I'm talking waterworks. I never felt so much emotion.
Yeah.
And just you got to score 2 goals for George. You got to score 2 goals for George. That's all I kept repeating the whole game. And I'm telling you, I don't know how Mark Scheifele did it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
So,
I mean, that's your dad.
Oh my God. Yeah. No, like I can't. So on the bench, do you find yourself drifting, like, thinking other things and tough to stay in the moment?
I cannot believe he was able to do that in, I don't know, 12, 14 hours. I don't know what it was, but it was, and I don't know the whole story, but it's all indications was it was unexpected and shocking to Mark and the whole organization. And I get it. I get his feeling of my dad would want me to play. And no one can judge that. No one can sit there and say it was a right or wrong call. It's what's right for you. And for him to have been able to participate and actually score a goal in that moment, oh my
with
God.
great patience.
I cannot believe what he was able to do.
I wonder, Kip, how Jets fans feel. Obviously, they feel for Scheifele and love the guy, and they're excited that he's their captain and be back next year and all that sort of stuff. I wonder how they feel about the whole season. Like, are you able to be critical of the Jets? This feels like such a overreaching story. Not overreaching, but just far-reaching story. There's some criticism to be had of the Jets that we need to get to at some point, and
for sure
we have time.
All right, let's go to Jason Bukala, Pro Hockey Group. Sportsnet's done a terrific job all season long for us and continues throughout these playoffs. Books, how are you, man? And where are you? You got a new set.
Well, yeah, I am. Listen, I'm here for you guys all the time, right? You know that.
Yes.
So I had my Monday golf thing with my buddies here, but I peeled off the 4th hole to come into the Champions Lounge, crush a chicken quesadilla with a lemonade, and here I am with you guys. So
how'd you hit it the first 3?
What's that?
How'd you hit it first few holes?
Birdied 2, hit a heck of a chip shot, gagged 1 on 3, made par on 4, which is the hardest hole. So we'll see how I do from here on in. I'll keep you posted.
All right.
This is the Champions Lounge at the Oaks Golf and Country Club here. I've never been in the Champions Lounge, so here I am.
Well, thanks, buddy.
Books, let's start with the Winnipeg Jets because I know it's a bitter disappointment, but when you factor everything in, I got to think that the fans at this stage of, I guess, where this group is, shouldn't necessarily feel like Leaf fans today where things are coming to an end. They're going to get other opportunities, down the road here, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So lots to unpack, obviously, with the Jets. I was listening to you guys before I came on. I just have to give a shout out to Mark Scheifele as well. That was just gut-wrenching TV for me. It really was. And you're just not human if you didn't think that was gut-wrenching TV. So that was tough to watch. But I digress. And in regard to the Winnipeg Jets themselves, guys, the thing that they do extremely well, perhaps better than any other team in the National Hockey League, is they insulate the organization through the draft, and they draft and develop. So when Ehlers hits free agency, Dmitry Reshevsky, who's expiring at Moscow Dynamo in the KHL, I'm hoping that they get him signed and they bring him over. Now, is he going to be a top 6 guy? Maybe. He's going to be middle 6 at worst. So, they start to they have things on the horizon that will help the team. And then, of course, they've got guys that are signed to very friendly contracts, Winnipeg Jet type contracts. I'm disappointed in the Jets. If I want to take the micro right now, I really I had them going to the Stanley Cup final. I really felt like this was as good a chance as they would have. They obviously suffered through some injuries. Morrissey is a huge one. And they couldn't quite get the goaltending that's required. And that has to be a talking point. I don't know what you do about it per se, but you hope that that's going to be different going forward. And I hope that was going to be different this year. I think everybody would agree with that. So, the Jets are still in a good spot. They really are. I think they're going to be fine going forward. When Kevin Cheveldayoff gets in front of camera and talks about the tragedy of Scheifele's father passing and talks about the Jets being a family, there isn't too many organizations in the NHL that are as tight-knit as the Winnipeg Jets, and they're going to be something to deal with going forward here.
Well, this is kind of the Jets' question, is it not? It's like they're so tight-knit that people said at the deadline, despite where they were, because of where they were in the standings, they don't want to shake up the room too much. They just make fringe ads. They get Luke Shin, Brandon Tanev, right? This group is this chemistry group. But you get to playoffs, and the other team has the best guy. It's so hard. So is this a team that needs to find a way to land the elite guy? And I don't even know if you can, because Winnipeg has some challenges in doing that. But can a group like this win in today's NHL?
Well, that's a loaded question, isn't it? Because there's a lot of layers here going forward, guys. And my biggest fear right out of the box as an executive is where can we go in relation to the salary cap and our business model? Like, does it work for us? The NHL's business model is trending up clearly, and the salary cap going where it's going to go in the next couple of years benefits the big market teams, the Rangers, the Leafs, the Montreal Canadiens are going to have tons of space there. Even the Calgary Flames into a new rink. Think about it for a second. The Winnipeg Jets don't have that local type of influx in cash. People don't like to hear it, but it's a reality. And it's not me putting down the Jets. It's just the reality of their environment there. So, two things. It's hard to attract that big it's hard to attract a Rantanen or somebody, that high end caliber guy to come play to Winnipeg first of all. Second of all, what's our internal budget going to look like? And I'm curious to see where that goes. I hope I'm wrong. I really do, because I'd like to see them do exactly that, Bourne. Capitalize on what they have. Hopefully hit a home run, go after a guy that's, that really upper echelon player. They have great players there, but they don't have a superstar. They don't have that outside of Hellebuck in regular season. So if I'm sitting in their shoes, I'm targeting guys that I know are going to be comfortable in that type of climate and environment, like Finnish people, the Swedes. Like, there's a certain player type. It's not going to be, Jacob Chychrun, born and raised in South Florida, that's necessarily going to go play for the Winnipeg Jets.
Nick Ehlers has turned himself into quite a player, and there's no question he's going to get a raise off his $6 million. But should Winnipeg seriously consider bringing this guy back?
He's going to get a raise. So Nick Ehlers, for me, as long as I've scouted this guy, going back to his Halifax days when he came over as an import there, I love his dart and dash, guys. If you look at his statistical, his history, statistically, he's never been that guy that is beyond 80 points every year. Like, you can bank it. You know what I mean? Like, he's never been that. Couple of things. Maybe it's synergy with his line mates. A healthy Velarde is going to make people around him better, for example. But I think they got to go for a different type of player. Personally, for me, I don't know that you can have a Kyle Connor and Nick Ehlers on the same roster at the top of the food chain, pay structure wise. I think that you got to get something that's kind of in between that, Kyper, something with a little bit more grit and growl, but still can push the play offensively, to be a harder out when you get to games against the Dallas Stars in playoffs. And you have to go through that extra layer of everything to get pucks to the net. So, in game 5, whatever it was, game 5 in Dallas, the 3-1 game, on balance, that was their best game of the series. I thought they did a lot of things well, but they couldn't really crack it. And I think Ehlers fits into that category. So I'm not overpaying on that. I'm curious to see what he gets on the open market. I'm sure that teams like Seattle are going to be fishing in those waters.
Let's talk about the other side of that series a little bit. The Dallas Stars, Thomas Harley gets the OT winner. Great shot. Kind of a coming out party for him. This past year, people figuring out who this guy is. Has he been pegged to track as one of these elite guys that it looks like he has quickly become?
Oh, I think that if you talk to Sammy Cause, he's always had him pegged exactly that way. For me, from a team building perspective, I would say I was hopeful more than super confident, I guess is the best way I can put it. Loved his length, loved his size, everything that you see right now, the way he's playing. That I was hoping for that, Borny, but I would be lying to you if I sat here and said it was a slam dunk for me. So having said that, his coming out party really was the Four Nations, wasn't it? When they dropped him into that lineup,
For sure.
and you saw how well he played there. This guy's a star on the horizon. Boy, oh boy, are they locked and loaded with those two youngsters like Harley and Heiskanen for I don't know how many more years going forward. He's a special player. He can play all situations. He's got way more bite than people realize. And obviously he's got that offensive pedigree as well. He skates, he gets there, he competes at the hardest days. And, you guys have listened, the three of us have talked about it, Sammy too. Like for me personally, because skill gets downgraded. You need skill in playoffs, but it gets downgraded to a degree because your skill never rises to the occasion if you don't have the extra push through. If you don't have the grit and determination and the extra push, it's never going to work. Thomas Harley has that in spades, so he's going to be a player to watch going forward for many years.
And you also need the better goaltender most often than not. Is this series going to also be remembered as Jake Ottinger just being better than Connor Hellebuck?
Yeah, I think it is. I think that's a fair statement. It's not. It can be very easy for me here just to pinpoint Hellebuck and say that, but let's also give Ottinger some credit here. His game is growing as the playoffs has rolled along here. The Dallas Stars game is growing as the playoffs have rolled along here, and they're going to be, as now we get into the Edmonton series, Skinner's coming back into being the best version of himself. If he can continue on to do that, which is going to be a requirement for the Edmonton Oilers to have success, because of Jake Ottinger. And Ottinger, he's a big body, guys. He's he's not busy. He's playing between the posts. He's making big timely saves. They're not giving up much though either, eh? The Dallas Stars, they're on time. That save there that you guys just showed on the highlight. Sometimes you got to be lucky to be good, like diving across hitting the butt end of your stick. But if you watch him real closely here, that one there, that's the lucky save. But if you watch him outside of that, the routine saves, everything's between the posts and he's eating everything. So, that's a really good team. Like that is just a really good hockey team. And all four teams are real good here sitting in the Final Four. The Dallas Stars, though, they're just programmed a little bit differently, I think, than Edmonton, a la, Florida in the East. But Carolina's only played 10 games. So Carolina's been sitting around resting, and this plays right into their hand with the way that they play the game.
Yeah, just one note on Ottinger. Like, you don't realize how big he is until you get him in a handshake line. The guy's like 6'6". Like, he is huge.
Okay, he's huge.
I legitimately did not know that.
He's a big body. Like
big body's an
he's
understatement.
a big body. Yeah, and there's something to be. It's curious, eh? Like, let's think about the goaltenders who are playing here in the final. Bobrovsky would be the smallest, because I do believe that the NHL is trending back to some of these smaller goalies. Wolf in Calgary, for example, Saros in Nashville. But you look at the big guys that are left: Skinner, even Wall coming out of the Toronto series. Obviously, Ottinger, Freddie Anderson. Love him or hate him, like he's got a 930 whatever a save percentage so far in playoffs, and he's a big body as well.
Books, the best player for the Florida Panthers in Game 7, in my opinion, was Seth Jones. And I got to tell you, I did not see that coming. They make a move. They win a cup. They make a move to get this guy who plays 24 minutes, scores a goal, scores 2 goals, if we're being honest. One of them gets called back. But, are you surprised to see what he looks like on a good team?
100% surprised. Absolutely. I have a bias against this player, guys. I've had a really hard time shaking it. So I don't want people in the fraternity to say, oh, you're contradicting yourself because you're talking to Kyper and Bourne. That's not the way it is.
Yep.
I have always thought that he was a part-time defender. Like, I really thought he was a part-time defender, laissez-faire, lacked a lot of detail. I wasn't sure if the grit and determination that is required to be a star player, like, he's getting paid star money. Let's not forget that, 9.5. And he's now Florida's 2.5, I think, Chicago 8. They're sitting on 7. How great is that going to age if this is the version that you're going to get moving forward? I didn't see it. And now when I see them roll out Jones and then Ekblad, back to back on the right side, and then whatever else they throw in there with their mixture, like this is really surprising to me. He killed plays. He was involved offensively. More importantly, it's curious. It's not curious. It's fascinating, and it's reassuring to see that when games get really hard and the stress level goes up, some guys' brains don't cave. And he was one of those guys, Borny, that I was always thinking, not sure. And he's proven me wrong so far in playoffs, if that makes sense. It's like sometimes, you're under stress and bad things happen all the time. That can't be said about Seth Jones. He's been really good. So far, he's proven me wrong.
And the one thing that I look upon now, and maybe I need to be a little bit open-minded more, but you can take someone who's really struggling, but if you put them in the right culture and the room strong enough and the system strong enough and you slot them in a particular place, you can turn someone's career around. And I think that's just exactly what's happened. Do you think the success so far of Seth Jones would force other teams to look at assets that they wouldn't look twice at and go, yeah, maybe we can turn a career around just like we did with Jones?
Yeah, probably.
No.
My answer is probably, because it's a copycat league, and people will do that. They will absolutely do that. They'll look around and they'll. Now, I would counter that by saying this: so he was part of the leadership in a really regrouping organization in Chicago, right? Like, everybody knows that it is what it is in Chicago. And for whatever reason, that's spoiled. And then he comes here and he's going to be held accountable. And he doesn't have to be the alpha dog. He just has to be worrying about himself, play his game to the best of his ability, actually elevate his game. Like, I look in Toronto, and it's a totally different situation. And I know you guys probably went through the whole Toronto discussion, and I don't want to regurgitate things for you, but I will say this: if I'm a buyer and I look at the Mitch Marner situation and I say to myself, you've been part of that leadership group, you're a star player during a regular season, can we get you to go to another level? I think that's where the contradiction lies for me there, because when you come from a situation like Seth Jones did in Chicago, and now you're insulated with what they have there, the Barkovs, the Ekblads, they bring in Marchand. Well, go down the whole list, the Chuck, Bobrovsky and net. You go through that. Kyper, you've been there, man. You don't want to let that guy in the stall beside you down, right? And I think that it's going to be still different for everybody, but I do know that the NHL is a copycat league. So, yeah, they're going to try and regurgitate a career. Get guys. Look at what happens to guys that leave Buffalo. That's a good example, right? Guys that have left Buffalo.
Yeah. So
and look where they've gone.
So I know you got to get back to the golf course. One last question for me. That does make me wonder, like, are teams aware of the threat of handing players too much too soon? Because these teams that are bad, that suddenly get their first premier guy, it seems like they rush to give them the captaincy or to give them the long-term deal. And those are the players, it feels like to me, who have trouble meeting their potential. They're like, okay, I've already got all the accoutrement of a star player without having ever really become one.
Yeah, I think that I'd say it's 50-50 on that, Borny, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Where I sit, and I'm more old school about it, if you haven't earned it, you don't get it. And I need you to go through I need you to crawl before you walk before you run, and then all of us re-examine our salary cap and who's going to be there on our hardest day. And yeah, that's a real thing. Guys haven't gone through enough hard days before they're giving that pot of gold. And that's ass backwards for me. I don't like it that way. The league it's hard though, because people in the league are doing it, and there's tons of risk. I don't like it. I think you have to earn it. And that's my take on it. But I'll end it with this. I'll let you guys go. My contradiction, if there is one there, is that a guy like Matthew Nyes, for example, going to RFA status, to me, he's proven and earned it in a short order, where I'm more comfortable in giving that. That's different because he's earned that to me. So it's not that I don't want to give it, just earn it, and I'll give it to you.
I just need your professional advice as a former scout. If you were looking at a UFA list, and we know Marner now is a legit 100-point guy, but would there be any hesitation because of the lack of success on this guy? Would it affect his market price at any point if you were a scout looking at Marner, or is this guy just going to ring the bell July 1st?
He's going to get paid. But he wouldn't. If I was a contending outfit right now, I would be offering him probably less than the competition out there. Somebody's going to overpay for that because that's just the way it is. That's the way the league is. I'm not one of those guys, Kyper. So I don't want to be overly critical, but it is what it is for me. And if I'm in contender status, it's not like when you brought the Chuck to Florida, and it's not like when Rantanen went to Dallas. So. Conversation for another day, probably. The Rantanen, remember they asked him to waive his no trade, and imagine what Rantanen would have looked like in a Toronto Maple Leaf uniform. I'll give you that as an example. And so then I say to myself, well, Rantanen's at 12 or whatever he's at. How can I go past that if I'm a contending outfit? Knowing what I know so far in Mitch Marner's career, how can I go past a Stanley Cup champion, going to Dallas, having this type of a playoff, making that number? How can I do that in good conscience? I can't.
Great stuff as always, Book. Thanks for stepping aside. Hole number what? 4? Did you say 5?
Get out there.
Get out there. He's already gone.
I'm on my way, boys. I'll talk
All
to
right,
you.
thanks.
Jason Bukala, Pro Hockey Group and Sportsnet.
I feel awful.
I can't believe he agrees to do this when he's. I would deliver.
Well, Sam puts a lot of pressure on him.
He must.
A lot of pressure.
You got something on him or something? You got dirt?
Yeah.
He loves me.
Yeah.
He says, yeah.
What's not to love,
Well,
Sammy?
Listen to the first hour.
Hey, one thing we didn't do in the first hour, and I did see an odds line on this. I don't think it's available on Bet365, but Mitch Marner next team odds.
Love this combo.
Power ranking of potential.
Yeah.
I believe the one I saw had it.
Let me see if I can.
Carolina, Toronto.
Carolina.
I know. Utah. What was it? Detroit. I don't know. What do you got? Colorado's the most common one I hear.
That one would be interesting to me because they kind of drew the line on no one passing Nate.
Mm-hmm.
And, maybe he'll go there for 12. I don't know. I mean, there's so many factors, including
If I'm Nate, I'm like, guys, move on. We need good players. Don't worry about me.
Yes.
Get the good player.
We just saw the guy that you weren't going to pay a little bit more than me stab a
Lighting it up.
dagger
He's
into my
the
heart.
current Conn Smythe favorite.
With a hat trick in the third period of Game 7 against us.
Get the good guy.
And I get a lot of this comments from people with, who's had enough of Mitch Marner, where it's like, good luck in Buffalo or good luck in Chicago, because that's where you're going to have to go.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, no, that's not where he's going to have to go. And there's going to be some teams that are going to be willing to move money out to make room for him. And I would say that there's probably legit 15 to 20 teams that would be willing to find the room to sign Mitch Marner.
There should be 30.
Can I ask you a question, Kyper?
Yeah, maybe I'm underestimating
There
it.
should be.
Can I ask you a honest question? How much of the FU factor will there be with him in choosing a destination?
I don't understand the question.
Is there a resentment with his camp towards the Toronto Maple Leafs? And would that have any determination in a possible destination? Basically, I'm asking if he's going to sign in Boston.
Please give me. Oh, so you're saying, would I just pick a team to spite my former team?
Would that play into the decision at all?
No.
Okay.
Nobody would ever do that. There's family. There's consideration. There'll be consideration on can I win here? Do I like what I'm hearing? Are they saying all the right things? Can I take a visit? Can I go see neighborhoods? That's what happens
Okay.
this time of year.
I'm just
I do think
picking your brain on that one.
him just having a baby for the first time. You know, I think that, it's unlikely that he flees to Anaheim with the child and, the family's like, it seems like they're a close family. I don't know personally, but it seems like they are. I imagine being relatively close, East Coast, Detroit, Buffalo, I don't know, something like that
Detroit would make sense.
I think he's
East
open to
Wherever.
just if he's looking for a fresh change and a new atmosphere. I think he'd be open to the Western Conference.
Yeah.
And
Colorado
would make kind of sense, but it would have to be a different philosophy. They would not pay Rantanen. Now all of a sudden, do you turn around to your fan base and say, we're kind of wrong, we didn't want to pay Rantanen, but we're going to give Mitch Marner
We got
13,
rid of the playoff mule.
right?
But check out this guy who we paid.
Imagine he took last in Colorado. He's like,
I don't think
I wanted
I
Glass to be part of
the one thing that's very much different than Willie Nylander is that Willie was always about a number and the money. You hit the number, I'm signing.
Yeah.
That wasn't the case with Mitch Marner. It wasn't just about the money. And that's why he may
It has seemed that
he
way
may
up till
not
now, but
he may but if you read the tea leaves, they really wanted to sign him and he did not reciprocate.
Well, I mean, I think that's why they tried to trade him in the
Right?
middle of the season.
Yes,
Yeah.
because they knew now at this point, if we're offering him really good money here and he doesn't want the 8th year that everybody else can only offer the 7th, then this guy's just looking for a fresh change.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll tell you a lot about the destination will tell you a lot about his
The one thing is that
Utah too.
it's really hard in today's NHL to pick who is a good team with a long-term good future. We said going into the playoffs, 11 teams could win the Stanley Cup.
Yep.
Like, it's tough. We sit here and go, who's going to be good? And we make our predictions at the start of the year. You're picking a team based on who you think is going to be good. It's pretty risky. You got to have some, I like this location, this organization, this yada, yada.
So
too.
by chance, he does pick like Montreal or
just
somewhere.
not Long Island.
You're going to like freak right out.
No. I'm really not.
Oh my God. If he picked the Canadians, you wouldn't freak out. Grow up. Know yourself a little bit.
That would be hilarious.
I don't think
That
he
would
would pick
be-
Montreal. Would he?
That would be, he would get the Tavares on Long
But he-
Island treatment in Toronto.
That's only a question I think he could answer right now. No idea.
I don't know how I'd feel about that.
Free agency's free agency. It's very seldom guys like run it. When it's all said and done, when they're dangling $90 to $100 million in front of you
100%.
and you turn it down and you still could go out there and get clipped in the eye, hit your head, and it could change tomorrow on you.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's one ballsy move.
Going to love
Big
being
time.
the belle of the ball. They're going to be courting him all over the league.
Oh, the
It's a
courtship.
dream son.
The courtship will be wonderful. It's game time, presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must 19 plus, Ontario only. Please play responsibly. The first line I would like to break up is how many days I make it through this week. It is setting the line at 3.5, and we'll see if I make it till Friday.
I got the
Oh
under.
my God. Tomorrow night, the series opens, which seems very fast. You would expect that the Western Conference would have opened first because both those teams have been off for longer, right?
Yes. But you'd be wrong.
Weird decision for them to go. But the Florida Panthers open tomorrow night in Carolina as an underdog. Plus 105 on the money line. The Carolina Hurricanes are minus 125 on the money line. Got to tell you, early lean there. Don't hate the Panthers as an underdog after watching that series.
Come on, Canes. Come on.
Oh, I want that. And just to go ahead.
No.
Storm Surge.
Go
Why
Canes.
did Tom Wilson do that when
Go
they were down
Canes.
3-1 in the series?
Yeah,
that was a weird
That
move.
was uncool.
Love Tom Wilson.
It was funny, though.
Not a good move. And just looking at the Stanley Cup favorites, the Edmonton Oilers are the outright favorite, plus 230, Florida plus 240, Dallas Stars plus 275, and the Carolina Hurricanes are the fourth team at plus 330. So Not giving the Carolina Hurricanes much. Well, they're giving them the worst chance of the 4 teams remaining. And yeah, that was Game Time, presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus, Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
Okay, let's take a quick break. And when we return, we'll get through a few NHL news and notes, including Ovechkin coming back and Jack Eichel's looking for a new contract. I want to get your thoughts on what you would pay. What do you think?
A lot.
Don't.
You have the number?
No.
You have the number?
Much.
After the break, when we return to Real Kyper and Bourne. Welcome back to the program. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. Just before the break, I mentioned Jack Eichel. As a reminder, this hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365. Let's make sure we get that in. Eichel's eligible for a contract July 1st.
Mm-hmm.
Sounding like they're talking. Here's a guy that I'm not sure we not necessarily gave up on him when he was leaving the Buffalo Sabres. There was a surgery involved. It was very controversial. Messy. But it turned out okay for him going to Vegas, including with the Stanley Cup, and now in a position to sign a new deal. What do you think he's worth?
It's crazy because this year, I feel like his reputation has taken a big swing. So they win the Cup this year. So he has one season over 70 points. In 18-19, he had 82. This year, he has 94 points. Suddenly, he's gained a reputation as a guy who plays some defense as well. And, yeah, he's a centerman. He's going to be expensive. But I do have some concerns, health being one of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know. I also feel like a guy on a good team, he's a positive energy, and on a bad team, maybe he's not. He makes 10 sheets a year currently.
Mm-hmm.
He has another year on that, and you want to give him 8 more after that, presumably. 11 and a half.
If I'm his agent, I'm being like,
it's not. He's getting a higher raise than $1.5 million.
Okay, I don't want to give it to him.
if I'm his agent, I'm like, so, you know, I'm asking for the Matthews AAV, right?
Totally reasonable, yeah.
Draisaitl just got
14.
Like underneath that.
Yeah, I tend to agree
the
with him. I think he'd be wanting to close in on that range of 13, 14. I don't know if again you factor in taxes and cheaper cost of living and whether or not you go, okay, 12 here is like 14 and a half in Canada, right? But the thing is is he even considered as Vegas's best player? Because when I would think of the Stanley Cup, I think of Pietrangelo and I think of Mark Stone.
Yeah, same here. And so you look at the last 3 years in the NHL, the leading point getters. Most guys have 230, 240 games played. Jack Eichel has 207, so he's not that far behind. He's 31st in points over that time. Like, he is not a pure, you know, he's kind of like Marner in terms of output. Like, he's not a goals guy, assist guy.
And he's used defensively like Marner, too.
Yeah,
like
but that's
right?
newer for sure. But so, I don't know. He, like you said, he's not like the guy to me on that Vegas team. So I don't want to give him the guy money. I worry about his health. I get why if I'm his agent, Justin Bourne, can stuff it in a sock. Like, I'm not even close to what I would be asking for. Matthews deal totally makes sense. That sort of money, I get it. But I have a little bit more concerns with him than I would, I don't know, other players with those kind of numbers.
All right.
Oilers, we mentioned the lone Canadian team that's still left in the playoffs. Haven't mentioned them yet.
Just been resting and getting healthier.
I call him for game 3, maybe.
I can't wait for this series.
This is going to be hockey.
I
hope they're not too banged up and bruised to give us another.
Sorry to my Sportsnet friends. I will not be watching tomorrow night. So just
Can't? Too soon?
I won't be watching the Panthers, but I
Marchand's
cannot.
hat trick?
I cannot wait to watch this. It's a There's a little rivalry between these two teams. They've played a bunch of big games. They played a series last year that was really good and close and tight. Like, they got Rantanen now. This is going to be an excellent series.
Excellent series. Edmonton continues to be the team that just tough to make sense of. You know what I mean? Like in the regular season, people had them pegged as good, bad. Otherwise, some of their fans all over the management. All of a sudden, the team looks brilliant and well put together.
The one thing that might be scary for Edmonton fans might be the fact that somehow, some way, Dallas was able to get through Winnipeg and not have Matt Duchene or Jason Robertson catch fire. Like, these guys had a tough time putting the puck in the net. Wyatt Johnson as well didn't exactly light it up here. If these guys get going here and maybe Rantanen doesn't exactly hit the brakes, this Dallas team will be tough.
They're better than they were last year when they faced them, right? Having Rantanen on the roster.
Concerning that Stu Skinner is an 884 in playoffs? I understand that he kind of found himself a little bit. Like,
yeah, he's going to have to get out of the gate here.
Like Skinner and Pickard, like it's
still questionable.
for sure.
Right? Still, we're not sure.
We had Valley on who was like, here's the save percentage of the goalies in playoffs for the past 10 cups. 930, 920, 930, 930. They're at an 880 as a team or something around that. So can they win? Of course. McDavid, Draisaitl, and Skinner was great in last year's playoffs. He can do it. But maybe there's some concerns.
Yeah.
All right. Ovechkin says he intends to keep playing for the Capitals. 21st NHL season at age 40. Not really surprised. He's got another year on still a very expensive contract. He's shown that he could put the puck in the net.
He joked that he was going to go to Hershey.
That's a good joke.
Very good.
Yeah.
Didn't know he could joke like that.
It's a good town. I want a Calder Cup there.
Yeah.
He would enjoy it. It smells like chocolate when you wake up in the morning.
I had one tryout there in the American League, and I tore my MCL. I don't like it as much as you.
The smell of chocolate makes my knee hurt.
What happened?
One-on-one puck battle down low. My skate caught a rut, and I got pushed over backwards, and it's my leg just said,
you were on a PTO for the Hershey Bears, independent, and they were part of Washington's farm team, but they were taking extras. So would you have gotten a contract with the Washington Capitals?
No, I don't think so. I was hoping to just kind of stick around and earn something over the year. That was the year. Who was there? Jay Beagle, my old college teammate, was there. I ended up in Reading, was there an ECHL affiliate when you played there? Probably not. ECHL probably wasn't even.
I'm sure there was.
Yeah.
And we all ignored it, hoping we'll never get sent there. Don't even tell me where it is. It's bad energy.
Fair enough.
I don't want to go there.
I don't want to go. I don't want to go.
Yeah, Alex is not going there. Speaking of Washington Capitals news, Alex Alexeyev.
Yeah, what happened?
Got in a fight, 3:30 in the morning, drunk, and they put him in jail.
Okay.
Alex Alexeyev just signed a 2-year deal with them, lost some teeth in playoffs, had an altercation last night, and was arrested for...
And lost more teeth?
I don't think he lost. He's a large dude. Anyway, drunk in public.
Oh.
Yeah.
I just realized...
It's not great. It's not
pay
cool.
The fine.
I'm not saying thumbs up, but...
Pay the fine and move on.
Right.
I forgot. I just looked over. I forgot to change the jersey again.
Well, it's kind of the last day you get to have the jersey up there at
don't
all.
worry about
so
it.
If you forget
Don't
it
worry
after
about
today, it's crisis mode.
But
hey, go ahead.
No, buddy, all you.
Okay. I get the fan support, especially from celebrities, but this Justin Bieber behind the bench.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Here we go.
This again.
I get he's buddies with players, but there's 18,000 seats. There's boxes everywhere. Did you really need to go right behind the bench?
If you're a cajillionaire and you want the cool seat, that's a cool seat.
Worst seat in the house.
Could Austin
Can't see it.
Matthews,
You can't see
looking
anything.
through Mark Savard's neck?
Yeah.
could Austin
Tough.
just send him a quick tweet and go, "Hey pal, just anywhere but there, please. It's hard enough as it is
No
with your
pressure.
orange coat."
You're dressed
International
he
superstar.
was dressed like Jamiroquai out there. I don't know what he's wearing.
Great
but
call.
I don't know why he was wearing that.
Virtual
on.
insanity.
Could you just
It's
put on a jersey?
Hard enough as it is.
Yeah.
I hate.
And he's taking selfies everywhere.
He's pumping up the crowd.
This is like a Sebastian Maniscalco bit from you right now. This is great.
I hate to admit, Kipper, I do hate to admit this to you because we haven't been doing this a lot today. Totally agree. It's game 7. It's not
Come on.
Thursday. It's not Thursday in February against the Flyers.
Don't get to sit by the glass or what?
We get you love us, but
It's better than like the guy in Colorado who's doing like the look-alike contest
That was
and trying
funny.
to dress like whatever.
That was funny.
There's all these people behind the
like
glass.
the Dallas. There's a certain lady that sits on the glass in Dallas, and maybe a little bit more distracting at times.
I think these are all entertaining things.
and Drake.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. If we're talking celebrities that ruin the Leafs' chances, it is obviously Drake, because he is a horrible sports bettor, and he bet on the Toronto Maple Leafs. He bet $1 million on the Toronto Maple Leafs to win that hockey game last night.
I don't know
can
how
I
much
ask
money
you,
he has.
Did he
But wow.
he put that out himself?
I don't know how it got out, but I saw it on everything. So yeah,
And I mean, do you
he put it on his Instagram
do
story
you put it out before the game or after the game?
Yeah.
before.
Well, this is like Floyd Mayweather
Before,
used to
yes.
like share when he won a big bet.
Yeah.
He's like, how many are you placing and not winning?
Yeah. So
Sammy, did you bet last night in the game?
yeah,
Did you?
I did. Yeah,
How'd it go?
I won my bet.
Oh.
Yeah, I did. I did win my bet. My mother listens to the
But
show.
you wanted to lose your bet.
It is a classic. There aren't many better spots for a big time happiness hedge, and I made a big time happiness hedge, and I'm not happy.
No, you're not
So,
happy.
It didn't work.
But it hedged it.
It hedged it. Absolutely.
So let's make our picks,
Oh,
boys,
yeah, right.
for the
Yeah.
conference finals starting up tomorrow night. The Florida Panthers are in Carolina. Nick Kypreos, over to you.
Okay. Only one of us had Florida beating the Leafs in Game 7.
Oh,
This is
what a
true.
controversial pick.
This is
Wow. You picked the minus 240 favorite.
I also picked Florida to win the Stanley Cup.
Mm-hmm.
So I
yeah.
can't go against them right now. So I got Florida. I'll take them in 6.
Yeah. You know, it's one of those things where it's like you picking with your heart or your brain. I'll use my brain and say Florida in 6. I hate to, it's not fun for the show, but I do agree.
Florida in 5.
Is there not just somewhere outside of the Leafs, like you're just not ultimately impressed with this team? Come on, Florida.
Oh, my
Like,
God, yes,
man,
Kipper. They're a
like-
team full of dogs. They're animals.
This close to a dynasty.
Very close.
This close to a dynasty now.
Yeah, and it's going to really hurt when Brad Marchand signs way under market value there this offseason.
That ain't
really gonna
happening.
hurt.
You know,
No?
No,
What is he going to sign with the Leafs?
but he ain't signing in Florida.
No?
pardon me. He's telling us this at 5:53 and a half. We
Yeah.
got a 90
Yeah,
seconds.
It's not happening.
Really?
They don't have the money for him. He's going somewhere else.
Toronto?
Nah,
New captain?
you don't want.
Strip Matthews. Give it to him. Let him deal with the media every day.
Buddy, he's proven his worth still, his value.
Yeah.
Play for the Canadian.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see that.
He's gonna make some money. I don't know if it's on a 3 or 4 year deal, but someone's gonna have to give him the extra year that he could not get in Boston. And they will pay.
5-0 against the Leafs in Game 7s. If his sole purpose is to ruin Leafs fans, he should go to Montreal.
Or to Toronto.
Oilers
Oh.
and Dallas.
I gotta go Dallas.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'll take Ottinger now. He's back in my good books.
I refuse to bet against McDavid Draisaitl
Agree.
at Game 7, Edmonton.
Oilers in 7. Oilers win the cup.
All right. We've proven that life goes on for Sammy outside of the Leafs on this national hour.
Love you, boys.
Good work, team. We made
Our
it through.
thanks to Jason Bukala, who joined us, Pro Hockey Group, Sportsnet, former NHL scout. We're back tomorrow on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. It's Tuesday, right? We got a little Valley tomorrow?
Valley Day tomorrow.
All right. Give us a rating and review if you get a chance. We'd love to hear from you.